you for joining us on The Skeptic Psychic, where we delve into ancient societies, ghosts, the paranormal, UFOs, all looking at it from the perspective of the true believer and from the skeptic perspective. Joining me, my partner, my co-host, my sibling, Kimber Rodriguez. Myself, I am Richard Gregg. And again, let's look into being the skeptic psychic.
Hello, how are you today? It's such a wonderful day today.
Yes, it is.
Hello, it's so wonderful. How you doing today, everybody? This is, of course, me, Richard Gregg, and with me tonight is my wonderful, infamously famous, infamous, famous. She's infamous, not infamous, infamous. Sister of mine, Kimber Rodriguez. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty well. Did some D&D today. Painted a miniature. I wish I could show you the actual picture of the miniature I'm working on. It's a little miniature of what I perceive Henny to be, which is a character that is in our D&D group.
Yes, she is a Minotaur.
Centaur.
No, not a Minotaur.
Centaur.
Centaur. Yes, thank you. Minotaur is the one that's got the bull
horn.
head. Yeah. Yeah. She's not a bull, she's a horse.
Yes. Half horse.
Yes. Yes. Well, tonight we're very fortunate to have two beautiful, wonderful friends with us joining. We have Shelley and Autumn Priest. And thank you for joining us. You want to take turns telling us a little bit about yourselves?
Well, thank you for having me back on here. And I'm Shelley Priest. And hello, Raymond. Practicing Wiccan and friend of Kimber's and Richard's. And my daughter, Autumn, kind of joined me in the Wiccan. No, thank you. Joined me in her path for Wicca. So we both have been, looking at it and just the religious path and all that. So just here to hopefully shed some light on some misconceptions and things like that. So I'm Shelley. And Autumn, where are you?
I'm currently making bottles. So I'm Autumn. As my mother said, I am her daughter. And I have been practicing for, probably close to what, Mom, about 10 years now.
Yeah.
With the pagan beliefs and just following the spiritualism of it. I love it because I'm solitary, so I don't follow a coven. I do my own thing. Kind of make up my own rules as I go, which is always beneficial for a woman like me.
Right.
I will be in and out. I do apologize, as in like using the mic, just because for those who don't know, I just recently had twin girls. They are very demanding at the moment. They are about 11 weeks old now.
About 2.5 months. Yeah.
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 Yes.
So.
Aww.
Yeah.
And they're beautiful babies. They're just so adorable.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Took 36 weeks to make.
I haven't seen him, so I have to take your word.
Oh.
We'll have to get together and I'll show you pictures.
Okay, that may be later at a future time. In the future, everybody.
Bella and Lucy. Bella and
Yep.
Lucy.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes. In world news, we did lose some great, wonderful people this past year or this past week. We did lose, for those of you who are big fans like myself of the Addams Family, the original Wednesday, Lisa Lauren, passed away. And if you, again, like me and my brother, watched Laverne and Shirley growing up, Cindy Williams, who played Shirley, passed away. So she's joined Laverne again, and I'm sure they're doing their shenanigans again in the afterlife, as they did on the show.
Mazel, Path of Death Incorporated.
Yes, I'm sure Laverne was there waiting with a milk and Pepsi for her.
right? And Boo Boo Kitty.
Oh yes, I forgot all about Boo Boo Kitty.
Yeah, she.
Yeah, so our thoughts and prayers go out to their families, and at this time,
Yeah.
and I know you had said also there was a hockey player who passed away.
Bobby Hall. Bobby Hall passed away.
Yes.
Yeah. In the northern states and Canada, he's big. Big.
Yeah.
He did a lot for hockey and I now here's a movie that I did watch, The Cutting Edge with
Yes. Oh my gosh, one of my favorite all-time movies.
and the shirt that he gives to her, Bobby Hull's shirt.
Oh, okay.
And she doesn't get into it, and he had given her his most prized possession, and she gave him a book, and he was like, a book. Well, that's
It was Great Expectations she gave him. I just watched that movie the other day.
Yes, that is one of my favorite movies, seen it a million times. But Great Expectations is my favorite Dickens novel. So
Yep. Pip.
Interesting to know. When I was in
Yes.
the Navy, is when that movie came out. It was the most requested movie on ship's deck.
really,
Yes.
D.B. Sweeney, he was.
Oh yes,
He was hunka delicious.
Mhm. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and she was very pretty. Maura Tierney or something like that.
Yeah,
I think
something.
that was her name.
Something like that. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes,
Beautiful
one of
movie.
our favorites.
But yeah,
Well-
they passed away, and the mom from A Christmas Story, Melinda.
Snodgrass?
No.
Something else. She also played the mom in you said the name of it, and I never
Close
remember
Encounters
it.
of the Third Kind.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Yep.
Yeah, the only thing I remember of that movie, I watched it when I was very little.
Melinda Dillon, by the way.
Yes, Melinda Dillon. The only thing I remember about Close Encounters is when everybody's leaving town, that they're saying there's an anthrax outbreak, so they're getting everybody out of town, and that's the only thing I remember.
Yeah. And Raymond says so many sad losses. Annie Wershing, she was the mom of Damon and Stefan on Vampire Diaries. She passed from cancer.
Oh, goodness.
I liked her as a character. She was very interesting in that show.
Oh, Autumn loves her Vampire Diaries.
So do I. Autumn's the one who got me into the Vampire Diaries. I was like, I saw the first episode and I was like, okay, this is boring. She's like, keep watching it. And yes, I fell in love with it.
If we had two boys, Damon was one of the names we had picked out, and it was because of that show, and Alaric was the other name we had picked out because of that show.
Awesome.
Oh, for Nick. Yeah.
Well, for Nick too, but also for the girls. And I had a cat. I named him Salvatore, Sally Boy for short, because he had a biting problem, and I thought it was only fitting to name him after the Vampire Brothers.
Yes, I was a huge fan of Damon. Really enjoyed watching him.
Oh, and also everybody, I don't know if we actually did this, but Lance Kerwin, the little boy from
James at 15.
Followed by James at 16, followed by James at 17 for a short time.
I had such a crush on him.
Yeah.
Oh,
Never
I had
heard
such a crush
of
on
that.
Yeah,
he
Lance
died
Kerwin.
on January 23rd.
I had such a crush.
And for anybody who watches wrestling, Randy Savage's brother, who also wrestled, passed away. His name was Lanny Poffo. He passed away just recently, February 2nd. That's when it was, just a few days ago. So, again, thoughts and prayers go out to everyone who's passed.
Yeah. Sad.
Yes. And any other news you want to discuss before we get into tonight's topic?
Let's see.
We're good. Our cold front has passed. We were 34 today. Everybody sunbathe.
Okay. Put on
That
your
was actually,
right. Put on your nose guard. Put on your
yeah.
right guard.
With the real feel, it was -17 yesterday, and today down here, I live about half an hour away from my mom, down by Seneca Lake, and we reached 46 today. I was actually outside in just a
Oh,
sweater
wow.
and my leggings, and it was beautiful. Went for a small walk in the woods with the dog. It was great.
See, our real feel yesterday was -23 for most of the
Oh
day.
goodness. Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
even though we live that close together, our I live on Canandaigua Lake, she lives on Seneca Lake, and
Mhm.
our weather is so different, the
Mhm.
two different areas, so it's crazy.
Yeah.
But we're a little warmer, both of us.
Yes. Raymond says that we also lost Joe P. Wilbur from Halloween too.
George
Mhm.
P. Wilbur.
Mm,
I don't know who that was.
not sure.
I'm ashamed to say I've never seen any of the Halloween movies.
I saw the first two.
I saw the first four.
Raymond, tell us who George P. Wilbur played
I consider
on Halloween 2.
the third one as being one of the better of the Halloween movies.
Oh my gosh, that movie was horrible.
It was great. It's
It
You,
was horrible.
Raymond is a Halloween movie aficionado.
yes, like I
He'll
said, it had
tell
nothing
you
to do with
everything about it.
Michael Myers. It was just its own separate little tale and left you with the cliffhanger ending, but nobody wanted to see what happened.
I
Yes.
just took Raymond to the theater to see, well, he went and saw Halloween Kills. I think I'm getting this right. Halloween Kills goes first, and then Halloween Ends
Hmm.
is this year. He was Michael
Oh,
Myers in the second movie that was
I was
in
in
the
the
hospital.
hospital.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Yes.
man.
Yes.
So, yeah, Raymond loves Halloween. So, I'm sorry, Raymond. I'm sorry.
Yes.
So, are we ready to talk Wiccan?
I'm ready to
Yes.
talk Wiccan because it is an earth-based religion that honors a deity that is embodied in male and female, spiritually known as the god and goddess,
Yep.
and gives reference
Yeah.
to the earth. Throughout
Yep.
history, witches have faced persecution because of misconceptions about them and their practices. But Wicca and witchcraft have survived and are going strong.
Hmm.
Wicca is one of the fastest growing religions in the
Yes.
United States today. You probably had a sense of some history of Wicca and witchcraft. Maybe you've heard about the Salem witch trials in Massachusetts. Watch TV shows about the beautiful housewife twitching her nose or the young teenage girl discovering her powers. Some of that information about the history is not very pretty. Accusations, trials, tortures, imprisonments, and even death. What could be worse than
Yes.
death? Being expelled, maybe, from Hogwarts? I'm not sure.
Well, some of my favorite representations of Wicca, which I'm not sure how accurate they actually were, but I enjoyed the movie The Craft in the '90s, one of my favorite movies again. And then Charmed is one of my ultimate favorite TV shows. But again, I can't say how accurate they actually are. Just that I enjoyed watching them.
Right.
I think they look better most days than most Wiccans. The hair, the everything.
Oh yes.
But
Yeah.
yeah, the one thread that goes through Wicca has a lot of different branches, and the one thing that is the center of all of them is reverence for the earth. That's the big thing. Humans, we're not top of the heap, and everything deserves to live. Everything belongs. The circle includes everything. So, Raymond, light as a feather, stiff as a board.
Yes, they play that game in the movie The Craft.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yes.
I need to watch more TV and stop reading so many books, I think.
Yes. Yes, it's an interesting movie. It's like one of the girls is a natural witch, and the others are just interested in Wicca.
Hmm.
And when they come together, the natural witch helps them to bring out their powers. You
Oh,
know,
okay.
it's pretty interesting. But again, I'm sure a lot of it is
By by
Hollywoodized.
powers, what do they mean? What are they
By their
doing?
powers combined, they create
Yeah, it's like, I
different
mean, do they,
planets.
you know?
Yes.
Actually, to
Well,
note,
they
Faruka Bazad, the one of the actresses in The Craft, is actually a practicing Wiccan, and she owned a bookstore in San Francisco where she sold cult and books on witchcraft.
interesting.
Sweet,
Yes.
So
sweet.
My powers, they start they cast spells and they come true. Like the popular mean girl, they cause her hair starts falling out.
Oh, okay.
Another one, she has like these scars on her back and they make the scars disappear and
Wow.
so
Okay.
yeah.
Um, yeah, some of that's not
Yeah, that's what I
not
was
going to
gonna
be
say.
possible for
Yeah. Like I said, I'm
yeah.
sure a lot of it was Hollywoodized, but
Right, right. Mm, mm,
okay.
mm, mm.
A lot of
anyway,
the practices that are done on movies are absolutely nothing like what it really is. I think the movie I've seen that has come the closest to our practices probably would be Practical Magic, and even then, like,
Oh, I love
we
that
don't
movie
bring
too.
people back from the dead like on there. We don't turn them
No.
into toads afterwards, but when it
we
shows
don't go.
her writing down the spell to find her true love in the future, that's like a shadow book, and how she
Hmm.
like looks at the plants before she picks them and puts them in the bowl. That's very incredibly accurate.
Right,
Hmm.
right.
What about sweeping out the? There's a scene where they're trying to sweep out the spirit of her ex-boyfriend who died. Who accidentally died in the house. Is that a practicing of getting rid of bad spirits or bad luck, that sort of thing?
It
The
is.
use,
If you use
yeah.
the broom and you go counterclockwise,
Hmm.
Hmm.
that cleans out all the negative energy. And while you're
Yeah,
doing it, you lean it up against the doorway of your house, and it will protect you. If it falls, that's a really, really bad omen. Something really bad is going to happen.
right.
But
I
yes, we
have
do use it to clean out the
brooms.
space.
I have brooms above my doors.
Yes,
I,
I remember my mom telling me growing up that if a broom falls, that means the spirit's coming to visit.
mhm.
That's what she would tell
It's
Mhm.
us.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's you can either go clockwise, but before you cast a spell, you're supposed to clear your area by going that way for, 3 turns. It's in the Wiccan read that I've got for later for us, but they talk
Okay.
about,
Right.
how to do that and like that. So,
Well, we kind of got off
yeah.
topic a little bit, Kim. Would you mind go ahead and continue?
Well, I mean, we're still on topic. We're still
Right.
talking about, Wicca. And,
Right, but we're talking about the history type of thing. You
yes.
just jumped the gun there, like
Okay.
Peter. Peter Gunn.
Sorry. Yes. Okay. To find out the beginning, we have to go to before Christianity and
Yeah.
before the Roman and Greek empires, before the
Yeah.
pantheons and deities, before recorded history.
Yeah.
Anthropologists found small carved female figures that date from the Paleolithic period,
Paleolithic. Yep.
which is more than
Yep.
20,000 years ago.
Mhm.
And these figures were found all over Europe.
Yep.
The Venus of Willendorf is a good
Yep.
example of
Willendorf.
this.
Yep. Yep. She's
As
the most famous that
yes.
everybody sees pictures of her. So, but
Okay.
there are they've been found literally everywhere in Europe, and they're usually about 4 inches. So they weren't meant to be in a temple. They're they could be carried, made out of mud or local stone. Limonite was a stone that I believe that's what the Venus of Willendorf is made of, also limite, and that was a local stone that they carved, and they believe it was for fertility. And she's a big woman. She's very curvy and voluptuous, and big booty, big belly, big boobs, big and curly hair, little curly hair all over her head. But yeah, she was found. She's about 20,000 years old, so that shows,
Wow.
yeah, how far back to the
Yes.
Paleolithic time. Yep.
Yes. Also, a few cave paintings seem to show rituals with
Yep.
people dancing in what looks at like animal costumes.
Yep.
It is believed that these people use rituals to encourage animals to multiply and plants to grow.
Yep.
Shamanism is the practice of contacting spirits through dreams, and meditating, which is probably the oldest religion.
Yep.
Their rituals grew into drumming. I'm sorry, they grew to include drumming, dancing, chanting, and often fires.
Yep. Yep. And that makes sense, really, because the caveman, that's what they would have been worried about. The flora and the fauna, so that they could eat. The weather, that would have been important. Preventing death or figuring it out. So that all makes sense. They wouldn't have looked. They wouldn't have had a deity in the sky or something like that. They knew what they saw. They lived with the animals. They lived with the grasses and the edible plants. So
Well, I kind of look at ancient man sitting out there, watching nature and observing things. All of a sudden, the big boom of thunder, of lightning, so it's like, oh God, what was that? One of them goes, oh, that's God. Oh, what's God? That's God. Yeah. So that's where the birth of religion possibly came from.
oh yeah,
Interesting.
It's also a very great 1,000-year-old man sketch from Mel Brooks and Carl Reiner,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
where they
By,
actually discuss the birth of religion.
uh, by 350 BC, an ancient people of West and Central Europe became known as the Celts. They developed a priestly class known as Druids, and like shamans, they knew about the non physical world. These Druids were healers, midwives, ritualists, and astrologists. It can be said that Wicca traces back to these Druids. I remember I was talking to my mom one day, and because my mom's always been very, like, she has this way with animals where animals always come up to her and she'll talk to them. And I asked her when, I was talking to her about it, and she said that her true love is actually the trees. And so she considers herself to be a druid because she loves trees and nature
yeah,
and everything. And I think if my mother didn't grow up in such my great grandfather, like I told you before, was a Southern Baptist minister. And I think if she didn't grow up with that rigid Christian background,
Well,
she may have been more of
done
a,
it.
yeah.
May have, yeah.
the great grandfather, Southern Baptist minister, who fell in love with a shaman's daughter. That's the backstory of.
Yes, but definitely anything outside of Christianity was heavily frowned upon.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I think if
Yeah.
she didn't have that, and I know now that she's because my stepdad is a free spirit. And I think being with him has opened her up more to accept, like, yeah, she is. I mean, she still believes in God, but she is more letting her free spirit out more, so to
Right.
speak.
I think my mom should meet Shauna's mom because she's very earthy, type of person. Her house is literally covered in plants and little spots where you can actually get some. The house is set up to where you can take pictures anywhere and get a good shot.
Awesome.
And she's very earthy and very.
Yeah.
She's like our mom, where she's
Yeah.
walks outside with her bare feet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My
Mm-hmm.
mom says she's very
Yep.
hippie. Not
Yeah.
hippie as in the big hips, but in the
Right.
other
Well,
Right.
version
she's
of being a
harmony.
hippie. Yes. Nature.
Right. Now we
It
do
would
know
be
that. I'm
Hold
sorry.
on.
it
Go
would
ahead.
it would be very nice if more religions let people understand that what they love, they should probably be allowed to collect and love and take care of, and not be made to feel that that's not the correct way to be reverent.
Right.
If it, more religions could be more open to anything that you really feel strong about, there may be a very good reason why you feel that strongly about that, and you should trust it and you should follow it, and it's not wrong. It's So, yeah, I get it. I get what
Yes.
you guys are
But
talking about.
Yeah.
So,
During the reign of the Roman Empire, Constantine the Great, who was only baptized right before he died, Christian began to transition from his dominant religion of the Roman Empire. Unfortunately, as Rome grew, Druids dwindled. Pope Gregory, commonly known as Saint Gregory the Great, been it's also been known for instituting the first recorded large-scale mission from Rome, the Gregorian missions. Basically, the
yeah,
plan was to convert then the largely pagan Anglo-Saxons to Christianity. He had
yeah,
more than 10,000 people baptized, churches built on sites of pagan temples. He felt
yeah,
that people would continue to gather these sites, but instead of worshiping in the old ways, they would be led by the power of prayer by one of the
yeah,
priests. This
yeah,
led to many hybrid religions. Pagan holidays had Christian holidays and put up the same day. Originally known as the spring equinox, the word Easter parallels the German word Ostrom, which is derived from Ostiad or Ostrara, the Anglo-Saxon goddess of spring. Yule, one of the oldest winter solstice festivals,
hmm,
with origins among the ancient Norse thousands of years ago. It was not a festival per se, but a marking of the passage of time. So,
yeah,
how did Yule become Christmas? King Hakonen of Norway, who was Christian, passed a law that the Christian Christmas Day and the pagan Yuletide celebrations were to be henceforth celebrated at the same
yeah,
time,
yeah,
while on the only impacted Norwegian territories illustrates how the festivals were intentionally combined into one celebration. Now,
yeah,
I've also heard that a Roman priest actually discovered that possibly Christ may have been born on Saturn Day, which was in the middle of the December holidays. So they decided, well, okay, Saturn Day is no, I'm sorry, that's actually Christ Mass Day, the celebration of the birth of Christ, is what
which
I.
Yeah, which is interesting because I've always heard that Christ was actually born in the spring because they were heading to Bethlehem, which was the capital. They were headed for the annual
Taxation,
census,
right?
yeah.
taxation and
This, yeah,
census.
yeah. And
Um,
the families had to return to the husband, his hometown.
Hmm.
mhm.
So the wife would go with the husband, but that's where they went and counted them, and it was always the husband's hometown. So, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So I
Okay.
actually, not this Christmas, but the year before, my husband and I went to a friend's house who is pagan, and he celebrates the Norse traditions. Um,
Hmm.
and so we went to a actual Norse Yule celebration, and it was actually a
Oh,
lot of fun. There was a point where they passed along a glass of wine, and everybody, you told your story of what you went through the year, your trials, your tribulations,
right.
and everybody gave you a name for that year. And they would like vote and say, like, okay, well, we went through all these trials and this and that. oh, well, we're going to call you Kim the survivor for this year or something like that. And everybody would like say huzzah and take a drink. And it was
Yeah.
a really, really
Yeah.
nice time and a fun time that we had there. They exchanged gifts and the gifts had meanings. It
Mm-hmm.
was like family,
Yeah.
home,
Yes.
fun. It wasn't just
Yeah.
like, here, I thought of you and I bought this. It was more of like there was meaning behind it. So it was
Do
a
you
really
know
fun time.
your the person that you went to's party? I still have the little glass jar that he gave me that one Christmas that says put make your wish, put it in the jar,
Hmm.
and
I have mine as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
so,
We
Yes.
have good parties, and
oh yeah.
the
Oh,
Christians
yeah.
were like, "We want in on this." So we're going to build on
Yes.
top of your temple, and we're going to
Right.
change this guy's birthday, and we're
And
going
we're
to
gonna take
celebrate with
over.
you. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that one Karen that comes to every party and tries to take over.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mhm.
like, well, we should
Yep.
do the party this way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty much
I,
how it happened.
yeah.
I
Well,
know
that's.
Vikings, that tradition kind of followed even with naming their children. Like on the show Vikings,
Mm,
Bjorn Ironside, it's because he was very strong, he was sturdy, he was difficult to kill.
mm,
Um, and so they would give them their birth names for how they would handle their life,
mhm,
which,
Right.
again, a pagan
Native
tradition.
Native Americans did that. They didn't get their names until they were older.
mhm.
That they went by, and yeah, so it's pretty common. So
Yes.
you were named Autumn, but now what are we going to call you?
They don't want me to answer that.
Now, I would also
Let's just
like
say
to
it
point
begins with
out.
sassy.
Yeah, yeah,
I would
yeah,
also like to point out that sometimes in these native traditions, you would also name yourself
yeah,
after
yeah. Well,
I am Richard, the skeptic psychic. I've and if it was a name that everyone had agreed upon, then yes, that would be your name. However, if you've done a
stop,
brave deed or
stop
done
it.
a cowardly thing, you know, yellow belly is actually uh, derived from a Native American uh,
Stop.
of what one group of Native Americans called a coward. And then, of
Mm.
course, the Westerns picked it up. Oh, you yellow belly coward! So,
Love being
Yes.
Feller.
yeah,
Yes. All hail Richard, the skeptic psychic. Huzzah!
huzzah,
Skull.
Yes.
Copenhagen.
And, yes.
Yeah, we drink to Richard.
Yes. And to keep their beliefs and teachings of the Christian church doctrines in check, several popes hired inquisitioners. And those
What
were
a
men
show.
whose
They weren't that cool. They wish they could
yeah,
have been as cool as Mel Brooks.
Brooks.
yes.
So
Reminds me of Eddie Izzard and how the Church of England could never run the Inquisition. Talk, damn you! But it hurts. Oh, let me loosen that for you.
Take a death.
oh my
Cake, please.
gosh.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. In 1484, Pope Innocent the Eighth wrote a letter about witches. Earlier popes had also written about witches, but because of the advent of the printing press, the papal letters was reproduced and widely spread.
Yeah.
This letter complained that the people or the clergy were not taking the threat of witches seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because, we gotta, control the man.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
And then, go ahead.
it started getting really oppressive when the Pope started writing these witch letters and but his really Pope Innocent the Eighth, his really went wide because of the printing, and that really started a lot of the hunts for the witches, but not only the witches. If people didn't go to church correctly and do the rituals correctly, so there were actually Christians included
And
in
Jews.
a lot of the, yes, because they weren't being correct in how they worshiped. So
There was I'm sorry, go ahead.
even if you were in that particular church, you may have been part of, who they were collecting up to torture and, reteach and all that because you weren't being correct about it. And it's a time I wouldn't have wanted to have been around for.
Yeah.
No.
I would bless the day that Joseph Gutenberg was born,
Oh, yeah.
because he actually put the Bible in people's hand, because the priest could say whatever they wanted to, what was in the
Right.
book, as
Right.
well as the Pope and the cleric. I mean, the cardinals and the
Well, that was a lot of England's fight, especially between the Tudor sisters,
mhm,
because Mary was a Catholic and Elizabeth was a Protestant, and the
right,
Catholics, you had to go to your priest to understand what was being said in the Bible, and the
right.
Protestants felt everybody deserved to know
What
what
was
was
in the
in the
Bible?
Bible and
Right.
have the right to own that Bible or own a Bible, whereas the Catholics were like, no, you have to go through this big man to get to this big man who can
Right.
dial the bigger man directly. You
King Henry
know,
VIII broke that when he created the Church of England, because
the Church
King
of
Henry
England, yep.
King
Which,
Henry VIII became what the big word on it, and King Henry VIII goes, "Hey, Henry, can I get divorce my wife?" "Not a problem, Henry. Go ahead. You can divorce your wife. The Church of England says you can divorce." All right.
yep,
Thank you,
Yeah.
yep,
Henry.
yep.
Well, basically, he didn't want to kill that wife because he'd already killed so many others. So he's
Right.
like, let's just go ahead and get divorced. And the Catholic Church is, oh no, you can't get divorced.
Mm-mm.
That's a sin against God. But killing, So that's why he's like, well, if you're not going to let me divorce her, then I'm going to start my own church where I can do that. And that's how the Church of England started.
Yeah,
Right.
yep. So,
We've got a little bit off topic there. I'm so sorry.
yeah,
Oh, no,
that's
I
another
mean,
show. That'll be another show.
Right.
it is still kind of on topic.
Yeah.
How it talking about different religions and what
Yeah.
the countries have been through with different
Right.
religions and people making all the rules.
Right.
Mhm.
So that would be a great topic in the future to discuss the birth of Christianity. Just to
Yeah.
I
be
think
on
it
the
happened in a
other side.
manger.
Yeah. Exactly.
I've heard rumors
Well, I mean,
that was
that's
in a
when
manger.
actually, yeah,
Yeah.
because before that was after Jesus Christ. So, anything before it in the Old Testament and the Torah wouldn't have been Christianity. So that makes sense. Anyway, why don't you pick up, Rick?
Alrighty. I mean, we've already Pope Innocent's letter. It paved the way for Heinrich Kramer and Jacob Schlager to publish the
Malleus
Adam.
Maleficarum. It's the
Malleus
Malleus
Maleficarum, or the witch's hammer.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Before 1400, it was rare for anyone to be prosecuted for witchcraft, but the
Yeah.
increasingly common prosecution of heresy and failure to fully defeat the heretics paved the way for later criminal prosecutions of witchcraft. Belief in witches
Yeah.
was widely accepted in European society. Now, following the publication, as witchcraft became widely accepted as the real and dangerous phenomenon, the most severe prosecutions took place between 1580 and 1630, largely ending in Europe around 1780.
Yeah.
Particularly in the 16th and 17th centuries, the intense debate on the nature of witches preoccupied demonologists across Europe, as they published many printed sermons, books, and tracts.
Yeah.
The church at that time played an important role in shaping of debate on demonology, but the discourse was not much affected on Reformation. Martin Luther, the man who created Lutheranism, was also convinced about the reality of and evil of witches and
Yeah.
facilitated the development of Protestant demonology.
Yeah.
Further
Yeah.
law was passed in 1604 during the reign of James I, who also was also known for the King James version
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
Bible. Took a
Yeah.
keen interest in demonology and even published a book on it. In
Yeah.
1562, as well as 1604, Acts transferred the trial of witches from the church to the ordinary courts. The English witch trials of 1612, 1616, 1633, 1645, and 1649 were all prosecuted under this
Yeah.
act.
Yeah.
In 1692, the infamous Salem witch trials used the 1604 Witchcraft Act to prosecute the
Yes.
people.
Yep.
Yes, and why don't we let Shelley tell us about the Wiccan Read?
Oh, you want to do the Rick? Okay, hold on, because I'm gonna have to read it. Now this is a 1970s read that that is the most common one,
Okay,
and
and what is? Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt. What is the Wiccan Read? Just so.
it's a guideline that Wiccans should follow.
Okay.
That it tells us some of what our past is. It tells us some of what what we can do and how we can live, and it kind of connects us all together. I kind of think of it almost like the Lord's Prayer
Okay.
for a lot of religions. It's just kind of that go-to that everybody kind of knows, and
Okay.
but yeah, it's a Wiccan Read, and it was written in 1974. Lady Gwen Thompson, and she published this version, and it's "Bide the Wiccan laws we must, in perfect love and perfect trust. Live and let live, fairly take and fairly give. Cast the circle thrice about to keep the evil spirits out. To bind the spell every time, let the spell be spake in rhyme. Soft of eye and light of touch, speak little and listen much. And it's Deosil go by the waxing moon, chanting out the witch's room. Now Deosil is the sunward. It's east to west. Just to because these are some of the older words. And then Widdershins go by the waning moon, chanting out the baneful rune. And when you're doing, it depends on what kind of spell you're doing, depends on which way you're going to go, which way you're going to turn it. Because if you're banishing, you're going to go one way. And if you're wanting to draw in, you're going to go another way. When the lady's moon is new, kiss the hand to her times two. And it's like that. So when we see the moon, we do that, and it's just you know, I see spent a lot of hours out with the moon, and I like her. When the moon rides at her peak, then your heart's desire seek. So that's when you can cast a love spell or a spell that's going to have extra oomph from the moon to bring something to you. Heed the north wind's mighty gale, lock the door and drop the sail. When the wind comes from the south, love will kiss thee on the mouth. When the wind blows from the west, departed souls will have no rest. When the wind blows from the east, expect the new and set the feast. 9 woods in the cauldron go, burn them fast and burn them slow. And you can look up and get all the names of the different woods that you would need to burn for specific things. When the wheel begins to turn, let the Beltane fires burn. Oh, I missed one. Elder be the lady's tree, burn it not, cursed you'll be. Yeah, so the elder wood. Mm-mm. When the wheel has turned to the Yule, light the log, and the horned one rules. Heed ye flower, bush, and tree, by the lady blessed be. Where the rippling waters go, cast a stone, and truth you'll know. When ye have a true need, hearken not to others' greed. With a fool no season spend, lest you be counted as his friend. Merry meet and merry part, bright the cheeks and warm the heart. Mind the threefold law you should, 3 times bad and 3 times good. When misfortune is enow, which is an archaic word for enough, when misfortune is enough, wear the blue star on thy brow. So enow and brow, that would rhyme. True in love ever be, lest thy lover's faults to thee. 8 words the Wiccan reed fulfill, and ye harm none, do what you will. And that it's fairly new because it is in the 70s, was written in the 70s. But I know that it's been studied, and they feel that some of this wording follows the older English rules of speaking and like that. So they think that it might be older than the 70s, but 1974 is definitely when it first came. It was first published. It was, everybody kind of knew of it. Merry meet and merry part. That's how Wiccans usually greet each other. They will greet each other by saying that. And it tells you in here, you have to be true to your lover. It's a good thing to live by. It really is. And it sounds pretty when you read it. I'll be honest, but yeah, I like it. And as I said, it's a guideline. There's nothing set in stone for how a Wiccan has to feel, because we don't have because we don't believe that we have anybody really watching over us. It's our job to take care of ourselves. And the threefold is what you do is going to come back to you times 3. Mm-hmm. If you're a rotten person and act like a jerk, you're not going to have good come from that. And if you're good, it'll return to you, and it'll be threefold. You may not bonk your head 3 times or whatever, but 3 things will be in your life that you'll be like, wow, this kind of isn't great. So we have to watch ourselves through our karma, and it's instant. We don't have to wait till we die to either pay for or be rewarded for our behavior. It happens now. It happens in the real time. Sometimes karma takes a while to get to you, or whatever, but it will happen. So we have to take care of our own, and we're responsible for our own, and that we have to think about our actions constantly before we do something, because it's going to have consequences on us. So we really have to. We can't go to a building on Sunday and have everything wiped away and begin to start anew. No, you're responsible for that. You have to take care of the trouble you're in, or you're going to reap the seeds of good that you sow. So yeah, that's us. That's us. We don't have the heaven and hell. We're here and now. We do. A lot of us do believe in reincarnation. So we do think that we get to progress through various lives with certain things that we need to learn in each life, lessons that we have to learn, and once we've learned all we can, that's when our time to pass. And they call where we go is what is it? It's summer. What is it? Autumn, Brianna? Summerland. There it is. I knew it was summer, and I'm like,
Summerland,
it's
where we go out in
Summerland.
white robes. We're healthy. We get to interact with everyone around us. We get to talk about things we've learned, kind of pass around knowledge. And once a spot is available that meets our karma, well, we're tipped out and we start over again.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's us.
Yes.
That's us.
So now we get to the questions. Rick, you want to ask the first question?
Sure. Do you guys basically follow Hecate? Is she one of the
Some
names
peop-
for the female goddess?
An Egyptian. There are some Wiccans that believe in a lot of the Egyptian gods and goddesses, and then there are some that don't. They believe in the energies and different things, and I don't believe in the gods of Egypt. I think they're pretty. I think what they stand for is cool, but as far as really, really believing Isis is, going to actually do something for me, not so much. I have an Isis statue. I do have a little bit of an altar, but I have my little cauldron, but it's a cup. It's not a cauldron because that represents female. And then I also have the anthem, which is for me, it's just wooden driftwood. It's not. I didn't buy a wand or anything, just to represent the male. And I collect some of the Egyptian stuff because I love Egyptian stuff, but not to worship. I don't think Autumn does either. I don't think she really does either.
No, I believe more there. I guess it's kind of agnostic. I believe there is a higher power, but it's not up to me to know who or what that is right now. My job is to live life the best I can, help as many as I can.
Right.
I don't feel it's worth my energy or worry to think about who might be out there that's above me, when my job right now is just to be the best I can be.
For her, that's a full-time job.
Right.
Go ahead, Sweet Pea.
But I do believe in the moon more so than the sun. And again, I think that's just because I am a female. Females gravitate more towards the moon just because she does represent, fertility. She's very loving and kind and generous. So yeah, I don't really, like I said, I don't believe in a single deity. I just kind of go with the flow. And
yeah, that's the nice thing about Wicca. We can do what feels good for us and what we're pulled to, and we listen to what it is that we're pulled to. Autumn is far more into the herbs and the gems and stones than I am. But it's the earth is our big thing. Paying tribute to Mother Earth.
Yep.
But I'm skeptical enough, but also analytical enough where I would have trouble believing in, a half crocodile, half whatever, some of these Egyptian things are. I think we've moved past a lot of that kind of putting together and that belief and all of that stuff. So
it's easier for me to believe in Mother Nature more so than a god or a goddess. You see the seasons change, you see life, you see death,
yes.
You see plants grow, you eat what is grown. That's the physical stuff that I can see. That's what I believe in.
Right. I get it.
Yes. Yep. So what is the purpose of the pentagram or the pentacle?
I was waiting for Autumn. The pentagram
is changing a diaper.
The pentagram is a 5-pointed star, and it appears in Christianity. It appears for the Jewish people. It appears in Islam. It's a very common symbol. We put, once you put the circle around it, then it's a pentacle. And for us, it represents the the five. It's earth, wind, fire. What are they all, Autumn Brianna? Earth,
Earth,
wind.
air, fire, water, spirit. And it
There you
starts
go.
with the star pointing up. If it's on your chest, pointing up to your head, because that's where your spirit is. That's where you make your decisions. And then from there, it goes clockwise.
Yeah.
Earth, air, fire, water.
Yeah.
And actually, it started out like my mom said, the Christians used it. The soldiers would actually put it on their shields for their protection. So
Yeah.
even the Christian soldiers believed that it did help cause a balance that kept them safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those powers combined don't bring up Captain Planet. Just to let you know.
No, they do not.
Okay,
Aw.
just let our viewers know that Earth, Wind, Fire, Earth, and Heart or Spirit do not bring up the form of Captain Planet.
Oh my goodness.
There's a chant that I really like when I'm feeling frustrated or upset. It's the earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 which means bring all the elements back into me, get me
Yeah.
balanced. I need to be grounded again. I need to be
Yeah.
one with the earth so I can think clearly.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was not trying to make fun of the fact of the
Oh.
five spirits. It's just whenever I
I'd
hear
rather have someone make fun of it and mean well like you do than some of the other
Exactly.
comments I've had. When I lived in
Exactly.
Florida, it was in a Southern Pentecostal belt, and they found out I was pagan, and they actually threatened to tie me up in the middle of Main Street
Yeah.
and burn me, and that's why I ended up moving back to New York.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's people are still very
You have to
not
stay
accepting of
underground.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they
right.
told me that I was a
Yeah.
devil worshiper, and I tried
Yeah.
explaining to them in my religion we don't have a devil, we don't have a hell, we
It's
don't have
it's not our
anything like that.
yeah. It's not
I
our
am my
God.
own devil, I am my own God.
Yeah.
Well, you
We
go
had
back to the dramatic experience. You had the mother father thing, and the Druids believed that the Great Horned One. I'm very serious. Rode over the forest, and his wife was the mother of nature,
yeah.
that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
when we
Yeah.
started going into the whole uh, devil god type of thing, we go, oh look, the Druids have the Great Horned One. That's the
Exactly.
devil,
Yeah. Yeah. That's
and
it.
and
And
so that's just
no. Yeah.
something I've looked up and researched a bit,
Yeah.
and my own
Yeah.
thoughts and
Yeah.
trials, and it's like, no, in my view, the deceiver, Lucifer, the light bearer, that sort of thing. It according to the history of the Jew, the ang, how should I say this? The Christian Judo Muslim philosophy, the deceiver is a beautiful guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yep.
know,
Yeah, because
And
he was an archangel
mhm.
right?
according to Christianity, and he was
He was
banished.
almost
Yeah.
he was almost God's right hand man before
Right.
he
Mhm.
decided to
Right.
turn against
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
And he, like us, he was made in God's image. So he
Oh
would
no, no, no,
appear.
no, no! He was not made in God's image.
He wasn't.
No, he was the beautiful light of the morning star. He was there to stand and proclaim God's word. He's wonderful. He's great. And this one day he decided when God created man and said, "Okay, angels, jinn, everybody, this is the human. This is man. He's going to be higher than you." And Satan went, or not really Satan, but he's
Lucifer.
like Lucifer, like, uh, Lord, nobody should be higher than an angel. Nobody should be higher than you. And God's like, I didn't say that these are higher than me. I'm saying I put these creatures higher than the angels. And Lucifer's like, sorry, Lord, you're the greatest thing in the world. Lord's like, yes, I am, but these are greater than you. and that's where the whole fall of the angels started happening because the Lord put the
Yeah.
humans higher than the angels.
Well, also, the Lord wanted to give us free will to make our own choices,
Hmm.
and Lucifer thought that we should be controlled. And
Yeah.
God's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And so that's where the break happened. And
Hmm.
those who agreed with Lucifer that we should be controlled went with him. And those that agreed with God
All
that we
right.
should have free
You
will
gonna sit?
to be able to make our own choices and make our own
But
mistakes
we'll go
and
more into
grow.
that in the future.
Okay.
Future.
Yeah.
Well, I do
Okay.
see you brought your
Here's
little
where my mom's
kitty out.
familiar.
Yes, I was just going to ask, do you have familiars, or do you what how are familiars used?
I mean, do you have a black cat? I do.
I used to.
Yeah. I
I've
The
actually had
cleaner
three
ran out
black
of
cats.
ink for ours. He's gray.
I haven't really been able to choose any of my cats. They've all chosen
Chosen
me.
me.
Yeah, and they've come into my life in various ways where they needed me, and it wasn't until after I got them that I realized I needed them too. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I have a lot of cats. I love animals, and it was funny because we went to Cooperstown this last summer, and the chickens. It's a farm. It's 1843 village that you walk through, and of
Wow.
course there's a farm there. And I was just walking along, looking with Bob and with Nick, and all these chickens start following me. And I mean, they walked out of the farm, and I was crossing the road to get to the church because I was going to look at that next.
To get to
And
the other
I
side.
got these chickens behind me following me, and there was a calf that was in the fenced in pasture, and I started like calling and whistling to it, and it came over, and I started scratching under its chin. And all these kids, apparently, I didn't see them at first, but they had been wanting to get closer to this calf, and they all just came around, and I was just showing them, how to scritch them, and they thought that was great. And that's how it's kind of always been with animals. It's been the same way with Autumn too.
Right.
She's been always been able to
Remember the little
handle.
lamb?
Oh my gosh. She made
Went
a lamb
to,
sound.
we
That
went
was,
to, it was down in South Carolina.
yeah,
It was
yep,
where they filmed The Patriot.
yep.
Well,
Brattensburg.
they had a working farm there, and there was a mama sheep, and she had a baby sheep, and I started just buying at them just for fun. And the mother left her baby sheep to come up to me thinking that I needed
Yeah,
help.
yeah. She
Oh,
actually left her baby to go see Autumn. So,
yes.
Yes.
For me, it's more farm animals than any other
Hmm.
animal that
yeah,
seems to be drawn to me. A lot of cows. I remember one time for FFA, we were touring SUNY Cobleskill, which is a farming college. I was going to go for dairy farm management, but they had an equine center as well, and they were trying to gentle mustangs. It was part of learning how the social behaviors are with the horses and how to gain
yeah.
their trust and all that. Well, they had this one Mustang that no one was able to get near. He was mean. He would bite. He was a full. He was a jerk, to put it lightly. And I remember walking up to the gate, and I just put my arms on it, and I was just watching him. And he came over, let me pet him, no problem. One of the students came over, and he started up his antics. He was stomping and rearing his head. Cows are the same way.
Hmm.
So, yep.
Yeah.
And walking. We
Go
live in
talk to him.
like the outskirts of the city, and there's a lot of stray cats. Well, it cracks Jake up because we'll be going for a walk, and all these stray cats will come up to me, and I'll pet them and stuff, and he'll go to try to pet them, and they'll run away.
Right.
Yeah.
I have my mother calls it the Saint Francis of Assisi vibe. I've
Hmm.
had strays come up to me. I've had animals like, oh well, he
Yeah,
doesn't like people, and they'll come up and they'll rub my head.
yeah,
And
yeah.
every pet that I've ever had in my life, including the my pet Rock, have always been very. They've come up to me before they've come up to anybody else.
Yeah. My mom is like that too. I remember we would go to the stock show every year, and we'd go to the barn, and she would just sit there forever, it seemed like, and she would be just talking to the horses, and you could see in the horses' eyes that it could understand like what she was saying to them.
Hmm.
And like I said, she was always dogs and cats always go to her, and
Yeah.
she talks to them. Like,
Hope he
I mean,
fixed
it's
it.
just, it
Oh, you
amazes me.
fixed it.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Hey Raymond,
Uh,
I think I've heard of that story before because isn't I think that's why Carrie is terrified of birds.
Yeah, our cousin Carrie. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because Raymond said, Raymond, I'll always remember Graham and I being chased by a turkey.
Oh,
Tur-
goodness.
well, like I said, we were visiting my mother-in-law up in Chewelah, Washington, and all of a sudden we hear this little peep, and I look down, and this little chick is coming
Aw.
through the high grass. I'm like, oh, it's so cute, and my sister-in-law come walking up to it. It back up into to the uh, the
Take
grass.
cover.
Hmm.
And so she kind of backs off, and my mother-in-law's like, it's just a wild creature. I said, hey, little buddy, come here, and it come popping up, and I reached up my hand very slowly, very gently, and it jumped up into my hand, and I'm like, are you lost or something? And it keep and look up at me and start rubbing its face into my hands. And I said, well, let's go and put you someplace. And so I took it and brought it
Stop.
up into this little cage, sat there,
Piper.
got a little piece, crushed up and wetted a piece of bread and set it next to it. It ate the bread, and my mother-in-law looked at me like, oh my gosh, this is a wild creature, and it's treating you like it's your mom. I'm like, well, I do have my mother called it a
Come here.
Saint Francis of Assisi vibe. She's like, I've never seen that before. So she's
All right.
like, let's get us some bread. We took it to a feed store where we discovered that it wasn't a chicken; it was a grouse.
Oh
Oh
wow.
wow.
So she's like, I don't know what. I'm glad Shauna met you because I've never seen a little baby bird actually go to somebody like that.
Yes.
Man.
So I know I've heard, like, even in the Wiccan religion, there are different types of witches. What do you consider yourself?
I'm not a witch. I'm just Wiccan. I don't do the spells. I have, like I said, a little bit of an altar, and I do have, some of the tools, but I don't. Autumn does, but
Yep.
I could, and I do like to channel energy, and I know that energy works. Autumn knows that energy works. You can do things, and if you're in a coven and you have a people, channeling that same energy, you can really do. I mean, for real, you can do things that you wouldn't expect that could happen. So,
Yes.
and you
We are
have to
not
be
a family
careful.
to be messed with. We have a lot of women who um we have the powers of our ancestors that were never captured.
Yeah, yeah, you didn't burn all of us, I guess.
Nope.
But
But I
I,
consider myself a green witch, or there's a kitchen witch, a
yeah,
house witch, a hedge witch. Kind of depends on the day on which one I am. Usually, if someone's sick, I will, especially in the household. Well, here's some tea. Oh, you're having problems with your stomach. Well, here's some catnip and mint tea. Oh, your anxiety is bad. Well, here's some lobelia and hops. It'll also make you sleep, by the way.
you have to explain it to them first and give them the choice of if they
Yeah.
want it or not.
Right.
That's kind of one of the
Yep.
rules
Mhm.
that we
Yeah.
have,
And I don't prescribe people. I don't be like, oh, well, this is a cure-all. I tell them,
right?
every herb has a medicinal purpose.
Right,
Um,
right.
Here's how to use it. It's up to you. I can make a batch for you if you want, but
That's
It's not to fix
interesting.
you.
Yeah. That's
So,
interesting because I believe in like, natural herbs and teas and using
Hmm.
essential oils and stuff. Whenever I'm sick, I'll try to knock it out with using something natural
right.
before I go to the doctor and get medication.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, when
So,
my son was born, he was a little colicky, and the doctor wanted to give him, I believe it was simethicone, and there was something
Mhm.
else. And I said,
yeah.
well, can't I just use like catnip tea to mix with his formula? And the doctor was like, I mean, you could. It's not going to hurt him. And so I did that, and 2 days later, his colic was cured because I just kept using catnip water for his formula.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Yep.
So,
So,
yep, and it was cheaper
Well,
too.
I
I
know you see in like the movies and stuff like we were talking about earlier about like Charmed and The Craft, and I think you mentioned and you see like in those shows that when they're doing the spells, it's like they're actually using magic, and it's. Do you believe that magic of that sort does exist, or do you think it's more on a metaphysical plane where it's like, well, it's just energy going out, and it could be luck or whatever, but it's not like you walk into a room, blow on a candle, and it lights up like in practical magic.
um I think Autumn and I will, and we both agree and know this for a fact that we know if somebody does something really, really wrong, that it will come that other people that were wronged can get, I don't want to say revenge, but they can they can make it
They
better.
can kind
But
of
yeah,
ask
how do I
karma
say
to
this
hurry
without?
itself up. It's
Yeah,
almost like driving the karma bus.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We can direct
Mhm.
the energy and direct it right to somebody that really. I mean, I'm talking the worst thing that a person can do, and
Yeah.
really, it.
Okay. So it's more like just energy and not like turning lights on, making things shake, flying through the air, that sort of thing, like you
I
see on the movies.
I think everybody has that ability. It's whether
Okay.
they give themselves permission to be okay with that happening and try to channel that even. We all do. We all have energy. It's that's a known fact. We all
My
have
mom thinks
energy.
you're good at blowing light bulbs.
If I get upset or stressed, light
We,
bulbs I I go
They
through
they
light
either
bulbs
blow
and
or they shatter.
Oh
okay,
goodness.
yeah.
true story. We
Story
are
time.
my sister, my brother, and myself, as well as our mother, cannot wear a watch.
Oh, I can't.
Hmm.
Nope, me
It
neither.
Absolutely
will
not.
slow down. It'll stop.
Yep.
It'll actually with my mother. She's the
Yep.
extreme. She's actually had watches that start going backwards on her,
Hmm.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she
and
said
I
ever
so
since because she almost died when she had me, and she said ever since then she's had that issue.
yeah.
So,
And
but
Hmm.
it,
all four of us. Well, I'm not sure about Jim Scott. Uh, that's another story. But we can the watches will actually stop on us. We'll change the
oh
hmm.
yeah.
battery.
Hmm.
We'll buy a new
Wind it
watch.
back.
In
Yeah.
fact, my badge at work every 3 months I have to get a new badge because somehow I give off this electrical field
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
Yep.
messes up with the magnetism in a watch or
Yeah.
on my badge.
And
Yeah.
Yep.
Mercy used to tell me that when he would go by lights, they would go out on him. Like, and I was like, it's a
Yeah.
coincidence. You're just going by, the light just happens to go out at that moment. I mean, it's got to be a coincidence. He's like, yeah, but every single time. I'm like,
Hmm.
Yeah.
well,
Yeah. If people would let themselves understand it and pay attention to it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So, but
There's a lot
um
of potential that people don't realize
mhm.
they have.
Mhm. Yep.
yes.
Yep. But Autumn and I both, I was raised Methodist. Autumn was brought up Methodist, and it just didn't feel, something was wrong and it didn't fit what I needed. went to church, went to church, went to church, went to church, and it wasn't. And I had a couple of bad incidences from some religious people that was unforgivable. But my first book, The Complete Idiot's Guide to Wicca and Witchcraft. And once I started reading it, it fit so much with what I needed to hear, and that it was okay, things that I was feeling, and that it was okay. But anybody that's interested in Wicca and reading about it and learning about it, and I encourage everybody, don't be afraid to look at other religions. You're not going to go to a bad place if you show an interest in another religion. Learn about Islam, learn about Buddha, learn about all these other religions. Don't be afraid. And if you want to learn about Wicca, my big author that I would really, really suggest, unfortunately, let me get it. Where is the camera? I can't tell where the camera is. Scott Cunningham. He passed away, unfortunately, but he has written a lot of Wiccan books. There you go. Living Wicca is one of them. Oh, I have a cat walking across. Oh, good heavens. Okay, am I back in here?
Yeah.
You're back.
Living Wiccan, the Wiccan Way, Scott Cunningham. You can really look at him and pick up a lot of his books. And he's a great author. Family Wiccan, it would be for the whole family, and this book is good because you can help explain to children, more of our beliefs, and it has all different things, like, why am I alive? Why do bad things happen? Am I a bad person? Just all kinds of different things that you would help guide, children and through different, well, everybody, the whole family, really. So these books I would really, really suggest. If you want to read about the where the witches were at one of their darkest periods, the Malleus Maleficarum, that you can get, sometimes you can get it on Amazon, but it's one of those books that is a hit or miss if you're going to get it. Another person, I've got his book here somewhere. I don't have his witches book. Now, this guy surprisingly did not die until 1948, Montague Summers. This is mine because he also did a book on vampires, but he also did a book on witches. And at the 1900, this man is publishing books saying witches were real and vampires were real, that he could feel a pulse in some corpses. So another one, if you want to get, read about closer to, what we're dealing with, he was a nutcase to read about. But I always have to talk about books. I always got to talk about books. But
yeah, I got a book for Christmas, Wikipedia, Modern Day White Witch's Guide by Sean Robbins and Leanna Greenaway. Oh my gosh.
Love that book.
There's some really amazing stuff in here. I'm actually surprised I'm doing this. I'm going to turn on the camera so you can see. Don't judge me.
Oh, you're beautiful always.
Yep, the Wikipedia.
I had dyslexia, and this is confusing me.
Oh,
Yes.
don't worry. Fine.
Oh, everything. Yeah, when it's backwards, I don't understand it. But yeah, that book, if it ever comes up missing, don't look at my house.
I'm already looking at your house because two of those books are actually mine that you popped up. So
what, the Scott Cunningham ones? Because
Living Wicca is one of them.
Is it? All right.
Sam Hunter gave that to me.
Oh, really? Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can't have it back.
Nope, separate.
Surprise.
No. Possession is 9/10 of the law, and I'm clearly possessed.
Ain't that the truth?
But really, we do have to be underground because of a lot of bad things. We had a friend, Laura, that really had to go underground for fear. Her and her daughter, she had a store in Canandaigua and had to go underground.
Coyote's Den.
Huh?
Coyote's Den. That's where I got your Isis statue from.
I know.
And our Reiki candles.
And Laura was good, but repeated harassment and vandalism. She ended up kind of
Death
disappearing.
threats to her daughter, even.
Yeah, yeah.
Detailed death threats.
And I remember telling you about, it was in the newspaper in Canandaigua, how the Halloween decorations, they tied up witches, mannequins, and had a big sign, burn her. And they had these witches in their yard tied up with wood underneath them and stuff like that. And, they thought it was okay. And it's like, no, that's
not good.
No. But it still goes on. And it shows. And a lot of people, even my family, didn't realize I was Wiccan for like a decade. And especially
to note, I'm sorry to interrupt.
It's okay.
Interesting to note, have you ever heard of the? Okay, I know this is a duh. Richard Pryor had an album called "Was It Something
Yes,
I Said?"
Mm-hmm.
Now, the original album had him being was a him standing on a pile flames, or no, I'm sorry, being he was going to be burned alive. Now, the original album cover had him encircled by a group of Ku Klux Klan members.
That's
and so
it's that same kind of thing.
They immediately pulled that album. It's a collector's item now. The second album cover had him being enveloped, still standing on a being staked of burning wood, but it was now a group of Puritans, and he was a witch. They pulled that album. So
it's not funny. It's not comedy.
Funny.
It's not.
They later when they pulled out the third print of the album, he was still dressed in a cowl thing, and it was just basically the fire was actually lit underneath him, and it, like I said, the album, that's where it remains. Was It Something I Said? Where he's standing on a pyre about getting burned at which they say either a witch or whatever.
Yeah.
And they've got it to where it's now just when they finally re-released the album several years later, it's no longer, you can't see who's setting him on fire, but he's standing there.
It's something he said that got him in that predicament.
Yeah, well, so that's what it's so weird throughout.
You wouldn't know we were Wiccans, and we're, when I'm shopping at Walmart and things like that. But my mom really, when she found out, she was very worried, and she asked me if I was worried about going to hell. And first of all, we don't have that place. But the only thing that I could say to her was, how about this? You pray for me, I'll pray for you. Whichever one of us has it right will cover the other one.
Yeah.
And that's how I really believe. Whatever religion you are, you pray for me, I'll pray for you. We'll cover each other, and we'll both be just fine. And that's how it should be. Don't fear Wicca. Don't be mad at all Christians. Don't fear other religions, especially if you know nothing about them.
That's the reason I have always enjoyed learning about different religions is
Mm-hmm.
one, I feel secure enough in my own beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And two,
Yep.
I feel like by learning about what other people believe, it helps me to understand them
Yep.
better and where they're coming
Yep.
from. So I've
Yep.
always had a healthy respect for anybody and whatever they
Yeah.
believe, even
Yes.
if it's
Yeah.
different than what I believe. And that's one of the things that I like about living here at the border is because of the fact of so much spirituality in the Mexican culture and the South
Yes.
American culture. A lot of these things are, I mean, we still have some people that are like, oh, that's evil and this and that, but it's
Yeah.
not to the extreme, like you said, that you see where you're at. I mean, we
Yeah.
have people who practice,
Yeah.
we have people who practice Santeria, who
Hold
practice
on,
Brujeria.
hold on real quick. Raymond made a point, and that is true. Richard Pryor did set himself on fire, ladies and
Oh
gentlemen.
dear God. Oh dear gosh.
He even
I
talks about
remember that. He
he
was
even talks about that.
cooking. Yeah, he was
He,
cooking up some stuff and
he was
Yes.
making some. He was converting
yeah,
coke into crack and cranks, and he actually
yeah,
set it on
set
himself.
himself on fire.
He
Yes.
was
Yeah.
actually. They asked
Raymond.
him.
Oh,
He was
Raymond.
asked in an interview. When he discovered he had MS, he said they asked him, "Do you blame God for what happened to you?" He says, "Heck no."
Mm-mm.
Using paraphrasing, I blame myself because I know God is up there going, "Hey, Richard, you know what? I didn't do jack.
Nope.
You did that to yourself."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yes, Lord, I did it to myself."
Yep.
And you know what? I love you, Richard.
Yeah.
And I understand exactly what's going on in your mind. And you know what, Richard? F you. Richard, I love you.
Oh, that's
That was
Oh
definitely off
my
topic,
God.
but
that was
yeah.
I
actually what
Wow.
remember.
Richard he was what he felt about it. It's like, yes, I did it to myself. God loves me. And he knows that my choices did what I did. And I
Exactly.
I expect to go
Oh
to
my
heaven, and then the
God.
Lord's gonna go up to me and say, "Welcome, Richard. You know what? You survived because I allowed you to survive."
There it
Yeah.
is. Had a purpose somehow. My
Yes.
cat just turned on the printer in the other room and I could hear
Okay.
paper. I could hear paper.
Uh-oh.
Oh my
Yeah.
Oh
gosh.
So
goodness.
for basically, yes, whether you
But
believe there
yeah,
is a God or not a God, we're not going to know until the last day when we die and take our
right,
last breath what's going to happen.
Mhm.
right. And that's why
Exactly.
let's just cover each other.
Yes.
You pray for me, I'll pray for you, we'll pray for everybody, and everybody will be good.
Yes.
And if all of our paths lead to the same exact place, we're all covered, we're all good, and the fighting along the way was unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Agreed.
And
Yep.
like I said, if
So,
you do some bad stuff in this lifetime and discover that, hey, I have to pay for that,
mhm,
Yep.
yeah,
then you'll pay for that.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a choice that you
Yes.
made.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah,
remember
that's
Grams when, like, what my mom said when she found out our beliefs, and
mhm,
she said the same thing. And she's like, "Well, I'm worried because I won't be able to see you when I die because you won't be going to heaven with me."
yeah,
And I told her, I said, "It doesn't matter who you are, or it doesn't matter what you are. It's who you are." And I
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
used that one saying. I
yeah,
found it on Facebook. You can go and stand in a garage. That doesn't make you Ferrari. Going to church doesn't make you a Christian. Going to the woods doesn't make me pagan. We're all human. We're all here.
yeah, yeah,
It's who we are that
Wait, wait,
matters.
wait,
If you're
wait,
a good
wait, wait, wait,
person, you're a good
yeah.
person.
wait. I thought when you went to the forest, you were a lumberjack, and that's okay.
Not
Not
brave enough
for
to be a
us.
lumberjack.
Not for us. I don't like cutting down trees. No, no.
Nope.
I won't go past when they're doing lumber work. I stay right away from it.
Right. So,
Piper.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
Oh
I said,
my
it's
God.
just
I
we've
may have to leave for a second. There's more paper falling.
Oh my goodness.
Piper.
we're gonna have to end this for the night because this we all know with the
Oh
practices
my
and that sort of
goodness.
thing, and
7 sheets of paper.
seven
Seven
sheets
sheets
of
of
paper
paper. Nothing on them.
Piper decided she wanted to print up, all that
Oh,
ghost writing. There's nothing on the
no.
page.
Stay.
Ooh, are
Stay.
you
You
sure?
can't do that.
It's
Yes,
invisible
Raymond, I
ink.
agree.
Yes.
Raymond said just peace and love, get rid of all the hate. It would be a
Right.
better world. If we all
I
focused on our own little corner rather than the entire world,
Right.
everything would just be so much better.
Right.
And I
agreed.
agree with that. Yep.
Definitely.
Uh,
Yes.
there is a story. Uh, have you ever noticed that whenever John Lennon would actually come on TV shows in the 70s, he was always wearing a flak
Enough.
jacket with some other name on it?
You behave.
Uh,
Where'd you
basically, the
go?
story is he met a guy on the way to
Come here.
going into the was leaving to go over to Vietnam, and John Lennon says, "Well, hey, let's switch jackets. That way, when you come back, you can have your jacket back. When if something happens to you, uh, and if something happens to me, you have the jacket. Hey, you have John Lennon's jacket. I'll." And so the guy's like, "Great!" Takes off his jacket, hands it to John. John hands him his jacket, and puts on the guy's jacket.
The cat wants a manuscript.
Yeah. Transcript will be
Man.
later in the
Oh,
description.
God. She's so full of it.
But basically, the story is that the jacket that John Lennon that wore on his TV show and talk shows, the guy never came back from Vietnam.
Oh,
Oh.
man.
However, there's also another story that says that he did come back and tell John, "Yeah, just it's yours." You know.
Mm-mm.
Yes.
So
Don't put this in
Behave.
the-
Well,
So,
yes. And on
but-
that note,
and that,
yeah,
that
it's
was
time to
it's time to
get going.
cross our T's, dot our I's, put
Yeah.
the little curlicues on the Q's.
yes.
As we
And
understand that Piper likes to have printed out copies of blank sheets of paper.
7 sheets of paper on the floor, all blank. Just run through
Yeah.
the printer.
Right.
She wants me to bundle them up into a ball and throw them for her.
Yeah,
Right.
she loves that. She loves that.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to say a wonderful good night, sleep tight, and unpleasant dreams to.
well, before we leave, um, this next Sunday will be all things love as we talk about
Cupid.
yes, Cupid, the god of love, and his little diaper and arrows. Maybe we'll get Richard to dress up as Cupid. Don't know yet.
Yeah, don't think so. I got too much hair up here. Interesting to note, on Hercules: The Legendary Journeys, Carl Urban played Cupid on 2 episodes.
Okay, and his Carl Ubane.
He is Dr. McCoy on the new Star Trek reboot.
Oh,
Oh, interesting.
He's also was in the new movie Dredd about Judge Dredd. Yeah, you know who Carl Urban is.
I'll
Probably
take
by
your word
face.
for it. Yeah,
yeah.
but
Urban. I'm sorry
yes.
to pronounce his name wrong.
Hey,
But he's a New Zealand actor. He was in the movie Red as one of. He was in Thor Ragnarok.
oh, okay.
He was also in the Lord of the Rings movies. Yeah, he's been in the show The Boys.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
Raymond said it's awesome show, but then I'm biased. We love that. And yes, next Sunday we will be talking about Cupid.
Cupid.
So we ask
Yep.
everybody to join us. It'll be at 8:30 p.m. Central, 9:30 Eastern, 7:30 Mountain, and 6:30 Pacific. And if you're watching on YouTube, we ask that you like and subscribe and hit the notifications so when you know we have new videos come out, you'll be known. If you're listening to a replay, we ask that you rate us and review us on Apple Podcast. And how many reviews do we like as you're counting them out?
5. The same number of points that a pentagram has.
Yep.
Yes, we do ask for 5, but we'll take whatever you can give us. And we do ask that you review as well. We do read reviews on air, so it's a good way to get a shout out.
Mhm.
Is there anything I forgot? Oh, if you have any questions or ideas for future shows or want to share a story or be a guest like these lovely ladies, you can email us at info@skepticpsychic and join us in our Facebook group, Skeptic Psychic, to hang out and safe place to talk about whether you believe in ghosts, whether you don't believe in ghosts. If you think all of this is just a bunch of hubbub,
If you think it's a really cool...
She just started the printer again.
Piper wants to print this out. That's a good thing.
And she's staring at it while she's sitting on it, looking down at it.
and with that, was there anything I forgot?
We do also want you to, we're on Twitch, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook,
Facebook Live.
Oh,
and you can always follow us on your favorite pod streams.
Yes, you were going to say, Shelley.
next Sunday is the Super Bowl. That's what Raymond is talking about.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no.
And he's betting on the Eagles, and so am I, because Hotel California is an awesome song.
Yes. Well, we could
Okay.
do it.
You have the Eagles on the one side, who shouldn't be there in the first place, and then you've got the Chiefs on the other, who only got there because of a bad ref's call.
Yeah,
So-
that's what Raymond will tell you, too.
So should we push it till Monday then? Because most people are going to be watching the Super Bowl.
I don't know. That's
Probably
up to
not
you
a
guys.
bad idea.
So,
Okay, we're gonna basically all we have is Raymond in the and it looks like Marcia Padilla. Are you still there, or you just being silent over there?
Well,
Not
not,
betting, just
not
watching.
betting, just watching.
well, I say since Raymond is our number one fan, I think we should hold off till Monday for Raymond. So he
Okay,
can watch
Raymond.
live.
There you go. They're going to move the show just for you,
Just for you.
so you can
Yeah.
watch your Super Bowl. Yay!
Yeah, we were gonna watch it too, and I saw the podcast, and I told Jake, I'm like, "Well, you're just gonna have to watch it with the kids. I'll go upstairs or something." So yeah, this is actually really awesome.
Awesome.
And I'm good either way. Yeah. So, but you guys have a
Raymond,
great night.
You too, and
Right.
thank you so much for joining us and sharing your information. And like you said, we should just love love everyone,
Love.
and not
Yep.
judge.
Yep.
Yep.
Because
It's
I
who
didn't
you are,
change.
not what you are, that matters.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
didn't change inside when I just chose a different path.
Right.
And that's how I think it is for everybody, you know. And it's not my business to tell anybody what path they have to take.
Right.
Exactly.
And it's
religion, to me, religion is something that is something you feel in your heart.
yes.
And like you said, it's everybody's own path, their own journey.
Yep.
And you
Just
have
reach
to
out
do
and
what
touch
feels right
base.
for you. Don't if something doesn't feel right to you, don't keep going
Yep.
with it just to please everybody.
Yep.
Or you'll
Yep.
be miserable. You have to find what feels right for
Yep.
you.
Yep.
And if we could just all do that and love one another, this would be such a more beautiful
Yeah.
world.
Yeah. It
Oh,
wasn't
yeah.
an easy change for me, but it felt so right, you know. And it's been a hard thing because it's not accepted, but it feels
my
wonderfully right.
conversion felt right, and it was very easy to do. I woke up people in the middle of the night and says, "Hey, how do I do this?"
Yes.
True
And
story.
for me, it felt
Uh,
right, but I did run into some adversity.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I didn't let that stop me because I knew what I felt in my heart was right
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
And if somebody else, those person who were being adversive, that was what was right for them and their path that they chose. And I think through time they've realized this as well.
Right.
And so yeah, we just have to love one another.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
And
next Monday, not only is it going to be the discussion on Cupid, it's also National Cheddar Day.
woohoo, so
Oh,
everybody,
I am all about that.
yes.
Yes,
So Steve Urkel will be happy that day. Make sure you
yes,
bring
we'll
your
have some
cheese.
cheese that day for everybody.
Yes,
Wallace
bring
and
your cheese.
Gromit.
Yes,
Yes, bring
and
your
yeah,
cheese to the podcast, everyone.
Thank you and good
We'll make
night.
it cheesy on
Right.
Monday.
I have to
Sounds
go.
good.
I have to pick up paper off the floor.
all right.
Okay, good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good
Good night.
night.